And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the latest live webinar from CLIA. And today is something we've not done before, actually, which is introducing you to a very specific brand. So our latest members are HX, and from HX, we have joining us Mark Walter and Megan Lewis. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you. Thank you very much for jumping on a very quick webinar. We are a week out from CLIA conference, so all rather busy here, but then when is there a quiet time in the cruise industry? But thank you to all of our travel agent partners who are watching us live this Thursday morning. If you are watching on demand, then good morning and or afternoon to you. For those watching live, this is your opportunity to ask questions. So use the question box on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll try to get to your questions, comments, feedback, thoughts, whatever you want for Mark and Megan as we go through our webinar. We will be finished by 10 o'clock, so plenty of time to get your questions in, and let's see what you're up to this Thursday morning as well. Thank you both again. Mark, we'll start with you. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do for HX. Megan, I'll ask you to do the same.
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Andy. So I'm Mark Walter. I am UK Director of Sales for HX. I look after UK, Northern Ireland, and we also have a little bit of responsibility for some EMEA countries as well. But 99.9% of our focus is UK B2B trade. That is our bread and butter. That's what we live and breathe. And so perfect. I head up a team of 4, Megan, and then we've got Sophie and Louise, who are our trade partnership managers. So a small but very efficient team.
Small but perfectly formed.
Indeed.
And hi, Megan.
Hiya, morning everybody. So my name's Megan and I cover inside sales for the UK sales team. So with that, I look after some of our marketing, social media, events, and loads of other fun stuff as well.
And you're a useful person to know for all of that collateral and things like and assets and things like that. So so welcome both of you. Mark, why don't you give us a kind of overview of the brand? Tell us a bit about the company itself.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Andy. I mean, so HX, we'll rip the plaster off this right now, okay? So everybody just refer to us as HX. From here on in, we're just known as HX. We've got our branding. This is where we're heading in terms of the future. We are a completely separate standalone business now. So we are in charge of our own destiny, if you like, which is really exciting. We are market leader in the expedition sector. In terms of quality, our ships are of a premium nature. I have to say we hosted 50 agents in Hamburg on Nansen, MS Nansen, a couple of weeks ago, and the trade were really surprised at the quality of the onboard ship. Quality is much higher than people anticipate. So really nice premium level. We're all inclusive. And also a point that we need to make is that we're informal. So it's walking boots, it's fleeces. There's no dress codes on board the ships either. So it's a really informal atmosphere, and we really are delivering world-class expeditions across the globe, across to all of the polar regions in particular, which is our strengths. But we're doing so with a scientific and educational aspect to the learning process as well. So that is an integral part of what we do. The business really has 3 pillars that we constantly refer to when we're trying to explain what HX is about. And the first pillar is about our heritage. It's about being experts in expeditions since 1896. So next year we're going to be celebrating our 130th year. There's going to be lots of build up and lots of activities and celebrations around that. But I think it's important that we respect, and we are very proud of that heritage going back 130 years. Was that obviously back in 1896 when we first started sailing to Svalbard was a real pivotal time of golden exploration, our polar exploration. So we're, our roots go all the way back there. The second pillar is about being for curious travellers, and that basically means is the sailings and the voyages are for like-minded guests from around the world. and they are on their ships to broaden their knowledge. They're on the ships to learn about their destinations and the things that interest them, whether that be ornithology or photography or biology or marine biology or the nature of the world. That is an important part of why people are on the ships. And we engage people by doing that when they're on board our beautiful ships through lecture programs, our expedition teams, guest scientists, and also really cool, citizen science programs as well. And the third element, the third pillar, is the sustainability one. So we are leaders in mindful adventures. And that really is harping back to our commitment back in 2018, where we were the first passenger shipping company to go single-use plastic free. We've done lots and lots of different things since then, but the sustainable environmental aspect of where we go is so integral to the business, not only in terms of when the ships are sailing, but also when we visit the communities we visit. We want to make sure that we support them as best as we can, and our visit isn't a positive experience rather than negative. But I mean, we've launched 2 of the world's first battery-powered hybrid ships. Our HX Foundation now supports lots of global projects which guests have a direct influence on through onboard programs, and we're deeply involved in the chairmanship and at a senior level of IATO, which is the International Association of Antarctica Tour Operators, and also ECHO, which is the equivalent but in Arctic regions as well. So we're really, really keen that we make sure that when we go to these places, we and our fellow expedition cruise companies do so responsibly.
Yeah, because they're the kind of destinations where you want to tread carefully and where you want to leave as little impact as possible. We'll come to destinations in a second. I loved your expression "curious travelers," by the way, which I guess sums up all of your guests. But tell us where your guests come from. Is there a type of customer that you attract?
Yeah, I mean, broadly speaking, I mean, Megan and myself were lucky enough to be in Antarctica 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, I think.
Oh, you name droppers, you.
I can bore you stupid with it. I honestly can't. It was amazing. But there were 22 nationalities on board the ship.
Oh, wow.
To give you a broad sense, I mean,
Yeah.
clearly there was an element of Brits and Americans and Germans, and then there was a real international mix on board the ships. They average age of the brand globally is probably early 60s, I would say, but getting lower. I did notice, actually, I was quite surprised when I was on board. Actually, it was a lot lower age demographic than I expected, which was really nice to see.
Yeah.
But broadly speaking, they are people of, if you take the business as a whole, we are retired, semi-retired guests, come from predominantly professional backgrounds. So we over-index on, educated, degree educated guests. They are, one of the common denominators, though, is their desire to learn about their hobbies and their passions. So whether it be history or whether it be wildlife, that is something that they do a great deal of. And clearly, there is an element of disposable income there, that they want to travel, but they want to go through and they want to do so and do it responsibly. Are they cruisers? There is always going to be an element of people that have cruised and have moved across. But broadly speaking, our advice to trade is, if you've got people that are going on safaris, that like touring holidays, that is good hunting ground to go looking for guests, because this does all of those amazing elements in these incredible parts of the world. It just so happens to be on a ship.
Yeah, and actually, people sometimes forget the history in Antarctica is rich. Actually, there's a wonderful stream of history flooding through it. Most people go for penguins and ice, and the history is quite a surprise for them. So I think you're right. Firstly, on safaris, it's interesting. We use the term sometimes seafari because it is like a safari at sea, because you're
absolutely
wildlife spotting, and you're very lucky to see wildlife. I hope you both saw lots of wildlife when you were down there. We often hear from trade that they just don't have expedition customers in their database. But that you're suggesting they probably do.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt they do. I mean, is it? It's like everything. Is it for everyone all the time? Then clearly not. But our suggestion is, gain the knowledge. And one of the things that we're going to do, we do broadly anyway. But now that we're with yourselves, Andy and Claire, is we're keen to make sure that all our trade partners, all our tour operators, anyone that wants to be involved in it has a level of knowledge and training, because that is so key.
Yeah.
This isn't rocket science stuff. With a little bit of confidence, you can really engage clients. And we've seen it all the time. When you speak to people face to face and you look at them in the eye and talk it through and bring to life what we do, they're like, why haven't I known about this before? So be brave. Our advice is to be brave, talk to clients about it, talk to potential guests about it. And the other thing that I would suggest is, don't think this is a one-shot fix, because it's not. You need to commit, and you need to do a constant drip feed of blogs and of information and of offers and in events, and really engage it, but be committed to it, because this is, to go to Antarctica isn't an overnight decision for people. They need time to think about it and research and consider. So be prepared to commit to it. But I'm absolutely convinced that majority of agents have got a database or potential clients that are doing it. Are you going to be doing one a week? I would love to think so, but the chances are unlikely. I mean, our average price this year out of the UK is £11,000 a head. So it's £11,000 per passenger. So firstly, think about the commission on that. Happy days, great business. And then think about the people that potentially have got that ability to pay for that. And all of a sudden, you start to think about, actually, there are some people we can talk to about this. But be brave and talk to them.
Be brave and talk to them. And Megan, you can support. Presumably, you post all the time lots of images of wildlife, and that will get people's attention, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got our Facebook page, which we post on daily. So we put in offer posts on there, and then we also take any destination images and videos from our social team that post on our main page, and we pop those on there as well. So we've got loads of resources, marketing assets available, which you can download on all of our different.
Perfect. Assets. Yeah. Just come and hassle you. I know that's what you're there for, right?
Yeah.
We've had a really interesting question based on what you just, Mark, were talking about, which is being brave and cost and all of those things. So this is from Elizabeth. Good morning, Elizabeth. Thanks for sending a question in. Elizabeth says, one of the main hesitations with customers new to the idea of expedition cruising is the perception that the cost is high. Whilst we can emphasize the value of everything that's included, what other tips would you have for customers who are curious but not quite there yet? Good question.
Very good question. Thank you, Elizabeth. Good morning. My personal advice, and Megan, you feel free to chip on this, but it's try to understand the scientific, the kind of expedition element, because when you read about an expedition cruise, you hear there are lectures and you hear there are landings and you hear about all these scientific things. Just try to, and we're happy to support you, go to the next level and just explain what that is, because when you get onto the ships and you go and listen to these lectures, and there are some real experts and very, very articulate, bright people that are talking to guests. Guests coming off going, oh my God, I never thought I'd go to a lecture on plankton. And all of a sudden, people are motivated and really, really interested in plankton, or it might be the history, as you say, Andy, about the Shackleton history. And there are guests and lecturers on board. So yes, the sort of the hardware of the ship is beautiful, and yes, we have all inclusive, so you can have a gin and tonic at 3:00 in the afternoon if you want to do that. But look at the kind of the softer elements, I would say, the Zodiac landings, the science boats, the programs that we run as well. We've just announced at the start actually of last Antarctica season that we're doing a 4-hour course with the University of Tasmania, and they have built an Antarctica course for our guests, so they can do it either pre-voyage or when they're on the ship. So they come out actually having some qualification and understanding about what Antarctica is. And to date, we've had over 1,000 guests that have registered and completed that
Oh,
course.
wow.
That's free, and
Yeah.
that's just one tiny element. So I would say try and focus on that, because that's a real point of differential to everything that you might get within a sort of, I guess, a normal cruise element of world. And once you start talking to people about that, and if you can understand what makes them tick as well, are they English heritage members? Do they like photography? We have a professional photographer on board that will hold classes and give them tips, and onboard deck experts. So home in on those elements. If you get a little bit of questioning, I'm sure there's something that we can add. Megan, do you agree?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And I think as well, just everything that we include whilst on board as well, obviously all the landings, the Zodiac cruising, there's just so much to it. So yeah, completely.
Yeah, you make a really good point, because actually we talk a lot about the importance of the expedition team on board, but actually until you've done an expedition cruise, you don't realize how important they are, and what an incredible value add to the experience of visiting these amazing destinations. And we should talk about that.
Yeah, the science centres on our ships are incredible. They're the heart and soul of everything that goes on. It's the heart of the ship, and they take there's some real proper science going on there as well.
Yeah,
And guests can be
yeah.
part of it. Guests can be part of it, and it's really, really, we don't talk about it enough.
No, we don't.
So feel free
We're starting to. We're doing our best.
Yeah.
We're all doing our best, and we should.
I didn't mean you personally, Andy, by the way.
No, I
meant
know. We do, but you're right. We, as a cruise community, we do need to talk about it more, because actually, I think one of the reasons that you don't sell one a week is because a lot of customers don't even realize that it's an option for them to take one of these amazing ships down to Antarctica or Arctic. I'm conscious we've got 10 minutes left, so if you are watching and you do have a question for Mark or Megan, please do pop it into the question box, and we'll get to them as quickly as we can. I just wanted to talk about other destinations that you visit. We've spoken about Antarctica, which is obviously almost the jewel in the crown, but I guess it's also one of those destinations that a lot of people would associate with expedition cruising anyway. So
Yes.
Where else do your ships visit, Mark?
So if you kind of, I guess, work northern hemisphere from a geographical perspective,
Yeah.
The next stop, I guess, is we have some South American, Valparaiso to sort of the Chilean fields, Patagonia side. And then we have a ship that's permanently based in the Galapagos, year-round, 90-passenger ship, Santa Cruz 2. We have east, west, and north Galapagos voyages on that ship. We run it in conjunction with Metropolitan Touring, who are absolute experts in everything Ecuadorian and South American. It is run by Ecuadorian crew and Galapagos naturalists as well. So that's an amazing trip. I could bore you about that as well at any time anyone feels stupid to. And then moving north, Alaska. We've got a really successful season of Alaska sailings, which is predominantly Vancouver to Seward or Vancouver to Nome and vice versa. And then we get into some really, no disrespect to anyone else, but a really cool Northwest Passage. So we'll have an eastbound Northwest Passage voyage from Nome over to Nuuk in Greenland, and vice versa. There'll be the other way, westbound as well. So that is an amazing trip that not all ships are capable of doing that, but Nansen and Amundsen absolutely are. There is a Arctic Canada series as well, where we do Baffin Island and sort of Thule. But we really are our predominant base is Nuuk now, out of Greenland for our Greenland series, because that has got an airport that's opened up that now has more international flights from New York direct, and also Reykjavik and Copenhagen. So we've got a really an amazing series of voyages out of there for West and also East Greenland as well. And when we do East Greenland, we'll generally do it, but we'll also combine it with Iceland and Svalbard. So there's a really nice combination of that high Arctic area as well. And then Svalbard, which is kind of where it all started for us. We have 2 ships that are based up there during the summer, and they'll do west coast and circumnavigation around the Svalbard archipelagos. And then actually, we have a really, really successful season out of Glasgow for the British Isles in the springtime. This is on board MS Spitsbergen, and she does some incredible voyages up through the in and out of Hebrides there, and then basically the reposition voyages, the sort of those bits between northern and southern hemisphere, we actually sail empty.
Okay.
We don't sell them. We get the ships to where they are in their strength as quickly as possible. So
Yeah.
we don't have the struggle of, oh, how do we, let's just go to the places where we are our strengths. So it's a really clever business decision, but it could be so easy to try to sell them. And
Yeah.
then, so the ships will then, all of the ships, predominantly 3 of the ships will have their seasons in Antarctica. Well, they'll do the winter season. Our winter season will be Antarctica, Falklands, and South Georgia. But Spitsbergen in January 26 will be based out of Tromsø up in Arctic Norway, which again is part of our heritage. And she'll be doing 7-day expedition voyages to the Lofoten Islands and
Beautiful.
in and around Arctic Norway, but proper expedition voyaging as well. So yeah, I mean, we've got an amazing global range of destinations to choose from.
And how many ships, Mark? You mentioned obviously the one in Galapagos is probably slightly different to the rest of the fleet based on size.
Yes,
But
yeah.
and but
So
the
we've
rest
got
of your fleet is how many? Sorry.
That's right. Sorry, mate, I interrupt. Santa Cruz in the Galapagos is 90 passengers. So we go between 90 to 450 passengers. So the ship that you can see behind me they're basically identical. So Fridtjof Nansen and Roald Amundsen take no more than about 450 passengers. By law, we can't have more than 500 passengers landing in Antarctica anyway, but we
Yeah.
sail about 450 passengers on Nansen and Amundsen. Then you've got MS Fram, which is 250 passengers. So she's kind of capacity-wise about half the size of the 2 ships.
Yeah.
And then you've got MS Spitsbergen that is 200. So you've got 90 passengers, 200, 250, and then sort of 450. So we've got a real range of size of ships depending on what people are after.
Good stuff. And you mentioned the British Isles. It's amazing how popular expedition sailings around the UK is. It seems to have happened all of a sudden, but it's obviously successful for you because I keep seeing more sailings being added by expedition lines to explore the UK.
Yeah, and well supported from UK passengers. You know,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah,
parts of the world that it's parts of Scotland and the UK which a lot of people haven't ventured to. So this is a great
yeah.
way to do it. And I know Spitsbergen's a beautiful little ship. She's just been refurbished. She's just had a science centre put on board, and the net promoter scores we get from her have been off the scale. It's been hugely successful.
Good stuff. A question from Lizette this morning. Good morning to you. She says, how many landings, Zodiac trips do the clients get per day or per destination? And if they want to kayak, would they forfeit a landing or a Zodiac ride to do that?
Megan, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yes, so generally in Antarctica, you would get 2 kind of activities a day. So you would have a landing, and if you were to do like another activity like snowshoeing, for example, the snowshoeing would overtake the landing, so you'd only get to do 1 land-based activity. And then if you were to do a Zodiac cruise, again, you'd get 1 of those in a day. But if you were to do kayaking, again, that would like overtake the Zodiac cruise as well. So when you get on board, you get given an animal group, and then that animal group is your group throughout the entire sailing. So on the HX app, you will be then given the times that you'll be doing either of your different activities the following day. So it's very well organised on board. The expedition team are very knowledgeable and passionate about it. So yeah.
Yeah, and very organised. Good stuff. Julie has asked a question as well. Good morning, Julie. She says, are there ever any ship visits in Scotland?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. So we haven't got any this year, unfortunately. We've just done our last one for this year, but next year we will have some ship visits in Scotland, so keep an eye out for that.
Good stuff, and hopefully you'll let us know about them. We can let our members know as well.
Absolutely.
What's next? So feels like lots is happening in the expedition space, and that's really exciting. What's next for HX? Anything exciting we should know about?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'll be honest with you, it's such an exciting business to be in, because we're in charge of our own destiny now. So we are, me,
Yeah.
Megan, we're integral, and all the people that work in the business, the London office, which is now the new global head office, we're all integral part of building this new brand, which is really exciting. So there's lots going on. So all of the ships have just been repainted. So the red that you can see behind me has been replaced with sand color and a sort of more of an indigo blue hull to represent the branding. Fram, MS Fram and Spitsbergen are just coming out of €7 million refits. So they're just at the back end of that. So we've been able to upgrade. The one thing we have just announced, which is again maybe goes back to, I think it was Elizabeth's question about how do we differentiate. I think we've just done an agreement with some Greenland culinary ambassadors, and they are local chefs in Greenland that are going to be sourcing 30% of food and supplies from the Greenland communities that we visit, but they're actually going to be sailing on board the ship. So there is going to be an Inuit and a Greenlandic element to Q&As, questions, lectures,
Brilliant.
menus as well, which is really, really, really important. And also in Friedheim, which is one of our 3 restaurants on board, Nansen and Amundsen, we've just introduced more of a world cuisine menu. So it's at the moment it's always been traditionally about burgers and fries and world-class milkshakes, but that's a different story. But they're now introducing Indian, Italian, South American, and also Filipino menus as well. So don't think that you won't get on our ships and be extremely well looked after from a menu perspective. So there's lots going on from there.
And tune in for a special webinar in 2 weeks' time just about milkshakes on cruise ships and on expedition ships. It'll be
Yeah,
popular.
absolutely.
It'll be popular. Elizabeth writes us. Elizabeth says she was in Hamburg. She loved the ship. She just wished she could have stowed away. I'm sure that
Oh,
that wouldn't have
good.
happened, but I'm glad you enjoyed the ship, Elizabeth.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Megan, one last question from me then is if there are travel agent partners who are watching who want to get in touch or engage with HX, you've mentioned your Facebook group already, but are there other ways that they can do that?
Yes, absolutely. So we've got our trade support email address, which is hxtradesupport@travelhx.com. So if anyone needs anything at all, just send us an email through to there, and me or one of the team will pick it up. And then we'll come back to you. And then if not, we have also got our agent portal as well. So our agent portal, you can view live pricing, availability, all of our marketing assets, and loads of other webinars and other things on there as well. So the website for that is agentportal.travelhx.com.
Good stuff. And all that details will be available on the CLIA website. We're just in the process now that you're members of getting you set up, so you'll be able to find all of the details, ship details, brochures, all of those different things through the CLIA website.